You know exactly what needs to be done: that project, that gym session, that difficult conversation. Yet your hand hovers over the keyboard, your shoes stay by the door, your words die in your throat. This isn't procrastination. This is your brain's survival mechanism actively sabotaging your success. When neuroscientists studied high achievers, they found identical patterns of resistance in their brains before taking action. The difference: winners have trained their prefrontal cortex to override the primal, avoid discomfort impulse. Here's how it works. Your amygdala registers unfamiliar effort as potential danger, flooding your system with cortisol. But when you consistently push through anyway, you physically rewire your neural pathways. After 21 days of forced action, MIT researchers found a 38% reduction in activation of avoidance circuits. The secret isn't motivation, it's neuroplasticity. Every time you act despite resistance, you're literally rebuilding your brain for success. Ancient warriors had a ritual. They'd dull their swords after battles so the blades required constant maintenance. This forced daily action created what psychologists now call action momentum. Modern research confirms what they knew instinctively: the more small actions you take, the more your brain craves progress. I'll show you the exact 3-step pre-action ritual Navy SEALs use to bypass resistance. 1. 4-4-4 breathing to lower cortisol. 2. Visualizing the first physical movement, not the outcome. 3. Setting a 90-second action timer. Test subjects using this method showed 73% higher task initiation rates in UCLA studies. Your brain is designed to resist before every breakthrough. The discomfort you feel isn't a stop sign, it's a growth signal. Every great creator, from Michelangelo to Musk, reports the same resistance before their best work. The difference between you and them? They've learned to interpret the churning stomach not as fear, but as excitement in disguise. Stanford's excitation reappraisal studies prove simply saying, "I'm excited" instead of "I'm nervous" increases performance by 22%. Today, you'll install what psychologists call an action identity, where taking consistent action becomes core to how you see yourself. Columbia research shows people who adopt this identity show 5x greater persistence. The moment your brain says later is precisely when you must move. Not because the task matters, but because proving to yourself that you'll act regardless of feelings is the ultimate power. Every forced action deposits confidence in your neurological bank account. After 7 days of this practice, you'll notice something terrifying: your excuses will start sounding hollow even to you. That's when you'll know the rewiring has begun. Fear alchemy. Your palms sweat. Your throat tightens. That voice whispers, "What if you fail?" And in this moment, you stand at the most important crossroads of your life. Because fear isn't your enemy, it's the raw material of courage. Special Forces psychologists have identified the 3.2-second rule, the window between fear emerging and your brain constructing catastrophic scenarios. SEAL Team 6 trains to exploit this gap with tactical breathing, not to eliminate fear, but to harness its energy. When researchers monitored their brain activity during simulations, they found something revolutionary: the best operators weren't fearless. Their amygdala fired just like everyone else's. The difference? Their prefrontal cortex converted that energy into hyperfocus. You can replicate this through what Harvard neuroscientists call threat reappraisal. Instead of trying to calm down, you tell yourself, "This adrenaline sharpens my senses." Studies show this simple reframe improves performance under pressure by 31%. Ancient samurai had a saying, "The way is in training." They understood what modern science confirms: courage isn't innate, it's earned through exposure. University of Pennsylvania's fear inoculation protocol shows just 15 minutes daily of voluntary discomfort, cold showers, difficult conversations increases stress tolerance by 40% in 30 days. Your body can't distinguish between types of stress. Every time you willingly face small fears, you're vaccinating yourself against larger ones. The most successful people don't wait until they're unafraid. They develop what psychologists call action confidence, the certainty that they'll perform despite fear. This explains why Richard Branson could launch Virgin Records while terrified, or why J.K. Rowling submitted Harry Potter despite panic attacks. Their secret? The 5-second rule, documented in Cornell research. Counting backwards from 5, then physically moving, interrupts fear loops in the brain. You'll discover today that fear has an expiration date: about 90 seconds of intense physiological response before your body starts recalibrating. Navy SEALs know this intimately. They train to endure the first wave, knowing the chemical storm will pass. Your breakthrough comes when you stop seeing fear as a stop sign and start recognizing it as a toll booth, the price of admission to everything worthwhile. Those who learn to pay the toll despite trembling hands gain access to a life others only imagine. The warrior's edge is an absence of fear, but the mastery of its energy. And this mastery begins the moment you realize the shaking in your hands isn't weakness leaving your body, it's strength trying to get in. The procrastination kill switch. That notification ping isn't just distracting you, it's chemically addicting you to avoidance. UCLA brain scans reveal procrastination triggers the same dopamine patterns as substance abuse, creating a literal addiction to putting things off. But there's a kill switch. Myths, temptation bundling research shows pairing dreaded tasks with genuine pleasures like only listening to your favorite podcast while working out increases follow through by 51%. Your brain isn't lazy, it's strategically avoiding perceived threats. The Zeigarnik effect explains why unfinished tasks haunt us. Our brains allocate mental resources to unresolved items, creating background stress. But here's the miracle: starting any part of the task, even just opening the document, reduces this cognitive load by 62%. Stanford's Micro Start protocol proves committing to just 90 seconds of work tricks your brain into continuing 83% of the time. Ancient Greek orators used the stone in shoe technique, keeping a pebble in their sandal while practicing speeches. The discomfort prevented mental drifting. Modern equivalents: website blockers that make distraction physically painful to access, or apps that donate to causes you hate when you procrastinate. A Princeton study found these negative reinforcement tools increase productivity by 200%. Your environment is programming your behavior more than your willpower ever could. Temple University's decision fatigue research reveals our ability to resist temptation declines 300% after making just 10+ decisions in a day. The solution: pre-commitment devices removing future choices. Like writing checks to political opponents you'll have to mail if you don't complete tasks. Extreme? A study in the American Economic Review found participants using this method completed 94% more goals. The most powerful weapon against delay is implementation intentions, specific if-then plans. Not "I'll work out," but "when my alarm rings at 6 a.m., I'll put on my running shoes before brushing teeth." British Medical Journal research shows this increases follow-through by 2-3x. Your brain craves completion, it's why we binge Netflix episodes but avoid important work. The open loop phenomenon shows unfinished stories create mental tension demanding resolution. Harness this by breaking work into cliffhangers, stopping mid-sentence so your brain itches to return. University of Chicago researchers found this technique boosts task resumption by 76%. Right now, your procrastination isn't a character flaw, it's a system flaw, and systems can be hacked. The moment you feel resistance is precisely when you must implement these neural overrides. Not tomorrow, not after, just one more video. Now, because the greatest lie procrastination tells is that you'll feel more ready later. The truth: readiness follows action, not the other way around. Discipline engineering. The alarm screams, you hit snooze. This tiny surrender isn't just losing you 9 minutes, it's reinforcing a neural pathway of defeat. Army Ranger research shows willpower operates like a muscle, but with one critical difference. While physical muscles tire, disciplined strength grows precisely through resistance. Every time you override impulse, you're not using up willpower, you're building what neuroscientists call effort tolerance. University of Pennsylvania's cookie experiment revealed this paradox. Students who resisted fresh-baked cookies for science credit later showed 23% greater persistence on unsolvable puzzles. Their secret? They'd proven to themselves they could endure discomfort. Your brain keeps score in what psychologists term self-signaling. Every disciplined action sends a message about your identity. Miss one workout? No big deal. But as Ohio State research shows, your subconscious registers it as, "I'm someone who breaks promises to myself." Conversely, every kept commitment reinforces an "I do what I say" identity. The military's brass rat technique leverages this, carrying a small object like a coin that gets moved to the other pocket each time you break discipline. Studies show this physical accountability increases self-regulation by 38%. Ancient Spartans used a similar method with their skytail, a message stick that only made sense when wrapped exactly right. Modern equivalent? Habit tracking apps that create visible chains of success. Jerry Seinfeld's Don't break the chain method has science backing. Visual progress markers increase adherence by up to 65%. Stanford's temptation bundling research reveals a game changer. Pairing should-do tasks with want-to-do pleasures. Only listen to your favorite podcast while running. Only enjoy your premium coffee while working. This neural coupling increases follow-through by 51%. But the real breakthrough comes from implementation intentions, specific if-then planning. Not, I'll exercise, but when my alarm rings at 6 a.m., I'll put on my running shoes before brushing teeth. British medical journal studies show this simple tweak increases action taking by 200–300%. Your environment is your invisible trainer. Temple University's Candy Desk study proved office workers kept 40% more candy in transparent jars than opaque ones. What you see is what you do. That's why high performers engineer their surroundings, removing distractions before they require willpower to resist. The most disciplined people aren't morally superior, they're strategically superior. They've hacked what psychologists call decision fatigue, the proven reality that willpower depletes after making choices. By creating routines, same morning ritual, meal plans, workout schedules, they conserve mental energy for what matters. Right now, your undisciplined moments aren't failures, they're data points revealing where your systems need reinforcement. Discipline isn't about white-knuckling through life, it's about building intelligent frameworks that make success inevitable. The warrior's edge comes not from sporadic heroics, but from consistent systems. And those systems start with your next defiant act, not when you feel like it, but precisely when you don't. Pain to power conversion. That rejection letter wasn't just paper, it was a neural grenade detonating in your reward circuitry. fMRI scans show social pain activates the same brain regions as physical injury. But here's what they don't tell you. This shared neural pathway means you can train resilience like athletes train pain tolerance. Special forces use stress inoculation controlled exposure that increases coping capacity. University of Buffalo's groundbreaking study proves people who experience moderate adversity develop 37% greater mental toughness than those who faced either high trauma or none. Your struggles aren't obstacles, they're the exact weights needed to strengthen your psychological musculature. Ancient samurai practiced mushin mind without mind, a state where pain was observed but not owned. Modern neuroscience calls this cognitive diffusion. When researchers taught subjects to view discomfort as interesting physiological data rather than personal suffering, pain tolerance increased by 50%. The Stoics knew this millennia ago with their view from above technique, imagining setbacks from a cosmic perspective to reduce their emotional charge. Your most painful experiences contain what psychologists term post-traumatic growth seeds. University of North Carolina's adversity mining protocol shows systematically analyzing failures for lessons creates a 22% increase in future success rates. The key? Asking, what is this trying to teach me, rather than why me? Navy SEALs demonstrate this during Hell Week, where candidates learn to reframe this hurts to this is making me stronger. Brain scans prove this simple shift reduces perceived pain by 28%. The Japanese art of kintsugi, repairing broken pottery with gold, embodies this principle. Your fractures aren't flaws to hide, but marks of honor to highlight. Stanford's benefit-finding studies show people who identify ways their struggles strengthen them report 40% higher life satisfaction. Pain is information. Olympic coaches use performance debriefs, where athletes describe races in slow-motion detail, transforming raw experience into actionable data. You can apply this through failure autopsies, dissecting setbacks without emotional contamination. Harvard research shows this practice increases future success probability by 33%. Your lowest moments contain the exact nutrients your psyche needs to level up. The caterpillar's liquefaction in its chrysalis isn't destruction, it's necessary reorganization. Similarly, your periods of greatest discomfort are often signals of impending growth. When researchers tracked high achievers, they found a consistent pattern. Breakdowns preceded breakthroughs by 3–6 weeks. The warrior's secret isn't avoiding pain, it's developing what psychologists call distress tolerance. Like lifting heavier weights, each conquered challenge expands your capacity. Those who learn to lean into discomfort gain access to reserves of strength others never tap. Your suffering isn't proof you're doing it wrong, it's evidence you're doing it right. The fire that feels like it's consuming you is actually forging you, And one day, you'll look back at what once seemed unbearable and realize it was the making of you. Target lock protocol. Your brain is a prediction engine constantly simulating futures, which is exactly why vague goals fail. MIT's neural target lock research shows specific objectives activate the prefrontal cortex 300% more than fuzzy aspirations. Ancient archers knew this instinctively. You don't just shoot that way, you pick a specific tree. Modern science confirms what they practiced. Writing down precise goals increases achievement likelihood by 42%. But there's a catch: your subconscious sabotages unrealistic targets. University of Scranton's Goldilocks benchmark reveals goals need to feel 30 to 50% beyond current capability to maximize motivation without triggering overwhelm. Your goals aren't just destinations, they're neural rewiring tools. Stanford's implementation intentions studies prove the magic happens in the if-then planning. If it's 7 a.m., then I'm running. This simple structure increases follow-through by 240%. High achievers don't have better discipline, they have better systems. The military's OODA loop, observe, orient, decide, act, creates constant feedback. Fighter pilots use this to adjust mid-dogfight, and you can apply it to goals with weekly course correction reviews. Research shows this practice increases goal attainment by 58%. Your environment must reinforce targets invisibly. Temple University's choice architecture studies demonstrate simply changing what's visible, like placing fruit at eye level, can alter behavior by 73%. That's why Navy SEALs lay out gear the night before, reducing friction when willpower is low. Ancient Roman architects used forced perspective, designing buildings to appear closer than they were, motivating workers to keep moving. You can hack this with progress markers, visual representations showing advancement. University of Chicago research found participants who tracked progress with marbles and jars persisted 44% longer. The most lethal weapon against goal drift is pre-commitment devices, removing future choice. Like writing checks to causes you hate if you fail. American Economic Review published studies showing this extreme accountability increases success rates by 94%. Your brain craves closure, it's why unfinished stories haunt us. The Zeigarnik effect shows incomplete tasks create mental tension demanding resolution. Smart goal setters exploit this by ending work sessions mid-task, making their brain itch to return. Research confirms this boosts task resumption by 76%. Right now, your goals aren't failing you, your framing is. The moment a target feels abstract is when you must make it visceral. Not lose weight, but see 180 on the scale by November 3rd. Not get fit, but do 12 pull-ups by Christmas morning. Precision isn't pedantic, it's neurological warfare against your own resistance. And that war is won not through vague inspiration, but through ruthless specificity. Mental armor forging. That negative thought isn't just passing mental chatter, it's physically reshaping your brain. Harvard neuroplasticity research shows repetitive thinking carves neural pathways like water-shaped stone. But here's the game changer. You can literally rebuild your mind through what psychologists call cognitive reappraisal. UCLA studies demonstrate that consistently challenging pessimistic thoughts increases gray matter in the prefrontal cortex by 17% in just 8 weeks. Ancient warriors trained their minds as rigorously as their bodies. Spartan boys underwent dichotomy training, learning to reframe hardships as tests of character. Modern neuroscience confirms this practice builds what's termed stress resilience. When Navy SEAL candidates adopt this mindset during Hell Week, their cortisol levels drop 23% compared to peers. Your inner monologue isn't background noise, it's programming. University of Michigan's self-talk experiments proved athletes who used third-person language, "John can do this," performed 15% better under pressure than those using first-person. The psychological distance created transforms emotional reactions into observational data. Buddhist monks didn't just meditate for peace, they were forging what neuroscientists now call attentional control. MRI scans show long-term practitioners have thicker anterior cingulate cortexes, the brain's conflict resolution center. You don't need years of retreats to benefit. Just 12 minutes daily of focused breathing increases emotional regulation by 34% in 21 days. The Stoics practiced premeditatio malorum, visualizing worst-case scenarios to reduce their emotional charge. University of Chicago research shows this stress inoculation decreases anxiety responses by 41%. Modern athletes use similar techniques, imagining missed shots before games to prevent panic during actual misses. Your mindset isn't fixed, it's flexible. Stanford's growth mindset studies demonstrate that simply understanding intelligence is malleable boosts achievement by 30%. When students viewed challenges as brain building rather than ick tests, their persistence skyrocketed. The most resilient people don't have different genes, they have different frameworks. University of Pennsylvania's Resilience Factor research identified 7 cognitive skills that can be trained like muscles: emotion regulation, impulse control, causal analysis, etc. Participants increased resilience by 84% in 6 months. Right now, your thoughts are either fortifying you or fragmenting you. Every internal narrative is either constructing mental armor or creating points of vulnerability. The ancient samurai said, "The mind is the sword that cuts both ways." Modern science proves that your greatest weapon and most dangerous opponent lie between your ears. But with deliberate practice, you can forge a mindset that doesn't just withstand life's blows, but uses them to sharpen your edge. Tribal thermodynamics. The people around you aren't just company, they're covert programmers reshaping your brain. Harvard's social contagion studies prove attitudes, behaviors, and even willpower levels spread through social networks like viruses. Your best friend's gym habits influence yours 57% more than your own intentions. Ancient tribes understood this instinctively. Initiation rituals created shared identity that bound members to group standards. Modern data confirms this. When participants joined accountability tribes in a University of Maryland study, their goal completion rates tripled. Your social circle is your invisible curriculum. University of Chicago's proximity principle shows you adopt the average habits of the 5 people closest to you with 87% accuracy for both positive and negative traits. High performers don't just have better discipline, they have better social architecture. That colleague who complains constantly isn't just annoying, they're triggering your mirror neurons to sync with their negativity. UCLA brain scans show we unconsciously mimic the emotional states of those around us within 45 minutes. The solution? Emotional distancing, maintaining physical or psychological space from toxic influences. Research shows this preserves motivation levels by 63%. Mentorship isn't optional, it's neurological fuel. Brown University's accelerated learning studies found having a mentor activates the brain's reward prediction pathways 32% more than solo learning. Ancient guilds knew this. Masters didn't just teach skills, they modeled mindset. Modern protégés in Fortune 500 leadership programs show 300% faster development than peers. Your environment is your invisible coach. Stanford's behavioral contagion research demonstrates that simply being near high performers increases effort output by 22% even without direct interaction. That's why elite military units bunk together and why Silicon Valley founders cluster. Success isn't just taught, it's caught. The mastermind effect, first documented by Napoleon Hill, has scientific backing. Groups with shared purpose generate what psychologists call emergent properties, capabilities no individual member possesses alone. Yale studies show mastermind participants achieve goals 76% faster than solo actors. Right now, your tribe is either elevating or eroding you with every conversation, every exchanged glance, every shared laugh or complaint. The Spartan saying holds scientifically true. You become who you train with. Not eventually, not theoretically, but neuron by neuron, habit by habit, in ways measurable by fMRI machines. Your network is your net worth not in money, but in the invisible currency of cognitive patterns and emotional rhythms. Choose wisely because they're choosing you right back at a cellular level. Chronodominance. That quick check of your phone isn't just 30 seconds lost, it's a 23-minute cognitive derailment. University of California's attention residue research proves task switching leaves mental fragments that degrade performance. But here's the military-grade solution. Time blocking used by special forces to maintain operational focus under fire. Studies show dividing your day into 90-minute operational periods increases productivity by 40%. Your brain doesn't tell time, it experiences temporal perception. Stanford's time warp studies demonstrate stressful tasks feel 38% longer than neutral ones, while flow states compress subjective time. Ancient sundials had a secret. Their shadows moved imperceptibly, teaching observers that small, consistent actions create dramatic results over time.